Well, tonight we have gotten our very first look at Diddy since the federal raids on his homes 4 days ago. So the hip-hop star mogul was spotted last night outside of a Miami Topgolf driving range with his twin daughters, flashing a peace sign, seeming rather relaxed for the man at the center of a sex trafficking investigation. This all while we're still waiting for any possible charges against Sean Diddy Combs. He hasn't been charged as of yet. Now, it was Monday that we saw this dramatic simultaneous raids at Diddy's homes in LA and Miami. The raids were carried out by Homeland Security. It was a wild scene, some cases federal agents entering with guns drawn. And at one point, Diddy's two sons could be seen in handcuffs. They were reportedly just detained, not arrested. Diddy's lawyer releasing an angry statement defending the hip-hop star more than 24 hours after the raid, saying in part, quote, "There was a gross overuse of military-level force as search warrants were executed at Mr. Combs' residences. There's no excuse for the excessive show of force and hostility exhibited by authorities or the way his children and employees were treated. Mr. Combs was never detained but spoke to and cooperated with authorities. The cooperation he's referring to presumably took place at a Miami executive airport where Diddy's plane was intercepted by law enforcement. You know, TMZ, they obtained this photo of federal agents with both Diddy and 24-year-old Brendan Paul, suspected of being Diddy's mule. No charges were filed against Diddy, but Paul, he was arrested and charged with one count of possession of suspected cocaine, one count of possession of suspected marijuana candy. These are both felonies in Florida. The arrest was made by Miami-Dade police. And reporting indicates he has since bailed out. Back with me to talk about all this, Bernardo, criminal defense attorney, Misty Marris, trial attorney, and Brian Enton, not attorney, but equally as great, News Nation senior national correspondent. Okay, so Misty, I don't know if you thought that he left the country. He seems to be here. Do you think that was like the advice of his counsel? Do you think, because they said there was no travel restrictions put on him, seems wise for him to stay here?
Yeah, well, there were no travel restrictions. He wasn't arrested, so theoretically he could have gone wherever he was planning to go while he was at the airport. But yes, of course, your lawyer could say it's not a great look. Maybe stick around, stay in Florida. But at the end of the day, if he wanted to travel, there was nothing legally that would stop him from leaving the country.
You know, Bernardo, I've been back and forth with this. I've been saying it's kind of strange that there's been no arrests or indictment in conjunction with the raids, but the more I think about it, they're gathering evidence. They might be issuing subpoenas to people. Got to go to a grand jury. If there is going to be arrest, I'll ask you, do you think he is going to be charged? When do you think it is going to happen? I think it's going to be a little bit of time.
It's going to take some time. So you got to think, when you do these investigations having to deal with electronic devices, that being the cell phones and video cameras and laptops and iPads and all of that, it takes time to go through all those devices, especially if you don't have the passcodes. And then once you go through the devices, you conduct this dump. Now you have to do further investigation into what information you gathered from those devices. So I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. What I am curious to see is, because Brendan Paul was arrested earlier this week, will prosecutors try to flip him?
But for those charges, they're felonies, but
anything that you can hang over a defendant to try to get some information will help their case.
And by the way, to be clear, Brendan Paul was listed in a prior lawsuit against Diddy as the suspected drug mule, that he supplies him with drugs and firearms. Again, an allegation made in a civil lawsuit. I want to turn to something really interesting here, because in the aftermath of these raids, we have seen a lot on social media, a lot of celebrities saying things, a lot of weird videos coming out that kind of give us new context. There's one that is just emblazoned in my mind. I'm going to get Brian's perspective on this. This is number 3. This is from 2009, 15-year-old Justin Bieber with Diddy. Take a look.
Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, you know, where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose. So for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So, and we gonna go full crazy.
Now, to be clear why that's relevant, if you look at some of the allegations in the lawsuits, it's sex trafficking with minors. There's allegations of sexual assault both of women and men. When you look at that, Brian, what is your takeaway from it?
I mean, honestly, my takeaway is, and I'm not defending Diddy, trust me. I mean, I can't believe what's going on, but I kind of feel bad for Justin Bieber a little bit in the sense that we don't really know the context of that video. At the time, Diddy was, they were sending a lot of the young artists to his house to sort of like get training, what it's like to be a rock star. Who knows what was going on at that house? But I don't know. I feel like we don't really know the context. But by the way, that's my Topgolf that he was at last night, right?
Oh,
by
really?
my house. So I can't believe he was at my Topgolf.
Wow.
And the first thing I noticed is he was on the cell phone, but I'm like, they just took his cell phone when he was on the plane, so I guess he must have a bunch of cell phones.
But here's the thing I'll ask you, Brian. Don't you find it weird that we haven't seen a lot of people coming to his defense?
Yes.
Like celebrities. I mean, what do you make of that?
No one, basically.
No one,
Yeah,
really.
we've seen people...
Cuomo last night, I think, interviewed his son's friend who might have defended him, but
there hasn't been a
really.
lot. Yeah, I mean, to the contrary, Mary J. Blige, who I think is really the only big celebrity who's come out with a statement against him, essentially. But, like, where's, you know, Jay-Z? Where are all these other people that have been close to him for years? He had these big parties that everybody went to in L.A., these big Oscar parties. It was like the place to be.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knows the guy. I'm just wondering, are people staying quiet because they want to respect the process and if there's all these victims, or are people staying quiet because, like, they're nervous? Like, what happened? He apparently had hidden cameras in all the rooms.
That was one of the allegations. That was what I thought they might have tried to recover from the house. Real quick, Misty, do you think people are being quiet because they're being issued subpoenas and they can't talk?
Absolutely. It could be both. I mean, this is an ongoing investigation. The SCNY has no limit on how long it can take. It's wherever the evidence leads. So there certainly could be some restrictions on some individuals. And Brian, I think you're spot on. Some may be nervous. Some may just want to see how the chips fall and see how it plays out.
I keep thinking back to Jeffrey Epstein and the blackmail component to that, and people were nervous to talk. Imagine they're thinking he's got hidden cameras in every room of his house, and there's crazy sex parties. They're probably like, oh, my God.
That was the allegation, that he has this as a form of blackmail, so we don't know what was recovered from that house. They say that they've recovered electronic devices and firearms. Not clear if he'll be charged in connection yet, but we'll wait and see. A lot more coming out with that. All right, everybody stick around.